Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. For our 2000 subscriber special, I will be discussing my top 10 favourite games of all time. But before we do that, I would like to thank you all for the support you've given me, and the fact that we've got to this point is just amazing, so thank you so much. Also, I'm very sorry that this video is so late, but I've been focusing on the Sniper Elite in-depth series and I've just not been able to make this, I haven't had the time. So without further ado, let's get into this. Before we get started, I want to put a spoiler alert on this video. And I wanted to say that when making this list, I tried to keep it to one game per franchise, so the whole thing wasn't just one big let's appreciate how good Halo is video. And I'm not including Sniper Elite 5 in this list, because I want it to get its fair share of bug fixes and DLC, and it is still quite new, so I want to know that my opinions are true before I go committing it to lists like this. So, now let's get on to the Honourable Mentions. My first honourable mention is Superhot, because it's a great game to just pick up and play for 5 minutes, and its whole gimmick of time moving when you move is a brilliant idea. All the weapons are either fun to use, or the pistol, and the plot twist at the end is brilliant. The art style is cool, and I actually find the menus easier to navigate than most AAA games, which says a lot, seeing as this game has menus that are styled to look like they're on a Commodore 64. And my second honourable mention is Zombie Army 4, for being the only Horde game I ever truly enjoyed. I like Zombie Army because instead of just walking backwards and shooting, you actually have to think about smart ways to take down the zombie horde, and there are always tools to do this. Additionally, the sections of levels with little to no combat work well at keeping combat fresh and interesting. In 10th place, I have Sniper Elite V2. Sniper Elite 2 has aged incredibly well for a game that was made on a shoestring by a company that nobody had heard of. Sniper Elite 2 features linear levels rather than the more modern, non-linear open world, but as a result of this, the game never feels boring, and all the encounters are very well designed. These levels are also designed very well, and not one of them feels poorly designed or copy-pasted, which is praise that not many linear shooters can receive. Sniper Elite V2 also introduced several DLC missions, most notably Kill Hitler and New Dorf Outpost, which laid the template for every mission in the modern Sniper Elite games. The story was engaging, the bullet cam fantastic, and it really put Sniper Elite on the map for the first time. It's got more character than any modern game, so if you've not played Sniper Elite V2, I urge you to. The remaster is available on all modern consoles and on Steam, so you really must play it.
This is a hell of a place you got here. I mean, it's a good thing I had my tetanus shot, but beyond that, it's, cozy.
Do I know you?
Name's Dane Vogel, who works for Altor. I remember he swung by the church and offered Dex a job a while back.
You're shitting me. Who's Dex?
Dex was a man who had higher aspirations than being a thug. You can't blame him for moving on up.
He was a fucking sellout.
You call him a sellout, I call him a millionaire.
What do you want?
I want to help you.
If I need any Altor Unlimited sunglasses, I'll steal them.
So you're familiar with our products?
Fuck off, Vogel.
Do you want our help or not?
Maybe.
Yes. No.
Well, this is a well-oiled machine.
What do you got?
We've recently severed our ties with the Ronin.
Oh, you're breaking my heart.
I know where the Yakujis lay their heads. I doubt any of your lieutenants have that information.
I don't know. Sean just fucked a lot of guys.
Cat's talking sense. How do we know it's not a trap?
That part's easy. I'll wait for you here. If you don't make it back, one of your boys can take me out.
Yo, why don't we just cut the waiting part?
I think the waiting part is very important.
Gat, you with me. Pierce, you're babysitting Vogel.
You sure you don't want me to take out this asshole now?
Save the bullet for Akuji.
In 9th place we have Saints Row 2. The original Saints Row was all about being the first open-world crime game on the 7th generation consoles, beating Rockstar to it by over 2 years. Saints Row was fun, but it really didn't stand out that much, and if we're all being honest, the older GTA games on the 6th-gen consoles were much better. But that all changed with Saints Row 2, which refined the mechanics of the previous game, gave us much better difficulty balancing, new features, weapons and vehicles, and an excellent story filled to the brim with memorable characters. Yes, the game is entirely unrealistic, very cheesy, and between you and me it's aged poorly, but by God it's fun, and that's a rare thing nowadays. Additionally, the level of customization for everything from cars to clothes to houses was obscene, meaning that no two players ever looked the same. Saints Row 2 was unlucky, as all the other Saints Row games kinda sucked for one reason or another, and this game hit the nail on the head with so many different things and it sunk without trace, thanks to the mediocre games that came before and after it.
Faceplate, this is Hammer 2-4. We have visual on the target. ETA 60 seconds. Copy 2-4. 30 seconds, going dark. 10 seconds. Radio check. Go to secure channel. Lock and load. Green light. Go, go, go. Weapons free. Grid secure. Open fire. Guys, stay in the bird till we secure the tank. Over. Roger that. Support on me. Yeah, clear. Last call. Hallway, clear. Sleep killer. Crew quarters clear. Move up. Forward deck clear. Green light on Alpha. Go. Freezer.
In 8th place we have COD 4 Modern Warfare, which is such an incredibly genre-defining game it really deserves a video of its own. In terms of the evolution of FPS games, this was the final time that the genre would take a big step forward, and the gaming scene has looked much the same since this game's release, even though it's 15 years old now. Modern Warfare follows Captain Price and his crack team from the Special Air Service as they team up with Russian informant Nikolai and Sergeant Griggs from the USMC in order to stop Imran Zakhaev from doing Russian terrorist things. Not only was the gunplay on point, the story decent, the characters engaging, the missions iconic, and the SAS awesome, this game was a cultural phenomenon. Perhaps not so much as Modern Warfare 2, but it was definitely up there. COD 4 is home to my all-time favourite COD campaign with brilliant missions such as Crew Expendable, Mile High Club and All Gillied Up, which I still maintain is the best stealth mission in the history of gaming, with its ice-cold atmosphere, nail-biting tension and near post-apocalyptic setting, making it perhaps the most iconic COD mission in history after No Russian. The multiplayer was excellent as well, with some of the best maps in the series paired with excellently fun weapon sandboxes, with sensational weapons like the M4, MP5, Desert Eagle and G3 all being brilliant fun. Simply put, this is in my opinion the peak of the COD series.
The flood is spreading. If we activate Halo's defenses, we can wipe them out.
You have no idea how this ring works, do you? Why the Forerunners built it? Halo doesn't kill Flood, it kills their food. Humans, Covenant, whatever. We're all equally edible. The only way to stop the Flood is to starve them to death. And that's exactly what Halo is designed to do. Wipe the galaxy clean of all sentient life. You don't believe me? Ask him.
Is it true?
More or less. Technically, this installation's pulse has a maximum effective radius of 25,000 light years. But once the others follow suit, this galaxy will be quite devoid of life. Or at least any life with sufficient biomass to sustain the flood. But you already knew that. I mean, how couldn't you?
Left out that little detail, did he?
We have followed outbreak containment procedure to the letter. You were with me each step of the way as we managed this crisis.
Chief, I'm picking up movement.
Why would you hesitate to do what you've already done?
We need to go, right now.
Last time you asked me if it were my choice, would I do it? Having had considerable time to ponder your query, my answer has not changed. There is no choice. We must activate the ring.
Get us out of here.
In 7th place we have Halo Combat Evolved, which once again is one of the times that the FPS genre really made a big leap. Whilst the story feels primitive now, this was the first time that people had really bothered to put real time and effort into making a story for an FPS game, and what a story it is. Fleeing from a coalition of dangerous aliens and hunters who are a joke in this game, Master Chief and his AI e-girl Cortana crash land on a mysterious ring world deep in space called Halo. The story is shrouded in mystery as Cortana desperately tries to figure out important things, such as what Halo does, who controls it, and why this cave isn't a natural formation. Halo CE has the best weapon sandbox of any game I've ever played, and has a selection of some properly good levels. The enemies are well designed and fair, except for Rocket Launcher Flood. Speaking of which, the twist in the middle of the game that unveiled the Flood was fantastic, and it truly saddens me that I will never have the feeling of seeing the Flood again for the first time. The vehicles were fun, the multiplayer was excellent, although the spawns were evidently designed by small children, and this is one of the best FPS games of all time, without question. In 6th place, we have GTA 4, which is hands down the best game in the series. The story was magnificent, following miserable Eastern European immigrant Niko Bellic as he tries to escape his past and exact revenge on the men who betrayed him, and his jovial, optimistic cousin Roman, who hopes to find cars, woman and fortune in Liberty City, the land of opportunity. The story remains the darkest of any GTA game, bar The Lost and the Damned, and it was a real development from Rockstar, who promptly threw away that dark tone for the more upbeat, sanitised GTA 5. The characters were excellent, with Nico, Roman, Brucey and Jacob being particular highlights, with Roman and Brucey's fantastic comic relief and Nico and Jacob's down-to-earthness. The realistic vehicle physics remain divisive among fans, but I personally love them. The gunplay is the best it's ever been, and even today, 15 years later, it stands out from the paper-thin gunplay of the older games and the generic gunplay of GTA 5. GTA 4's Liberty City, a realistic but satirical take on New York, still remains the single best urban environment that Rockstar have ever created, and the licensed soundtrack fits so fantastically it cannot even be conveyed with words. Not to mention that GTA 4 was lucky to come out in the era of good DLC, and it received 2 DLC packs which introduced new characters, stories, weapons and vehicles, as well as new protagonists to play as. The first of these was The Lost and Damned, a dark game that followed Johnny Klebitz in what was effectively a modern version of the yet-to-come Red Dead 2 story, where Johnny is forced to decide between his own interests and the loyalty to his brothers in the Lost Motorcycle Club. The second, and best, of these DLCs was The Ballad of Gay Tony, which focused on Luis Lopez, bodyguard and assistant to legendary nightclub mogul Gay Tony, and featured a much more upbeat story with an overdose of over-the-top action reminiscent of the older GTA games, glamour and violence. As well as introducing new features such as parachutes and The Ballad of Gay Tony's excellent triathlons, the DLC introduced the Buzzard, which remains the second most powerful aerial vehicle of the series, behind the Hunter of Vice City, and the Explosive Shotgun, which is the series' second most powerful firearm, behind Vice City's Spaz 12. All in all, GTA 4 and its DLCs really show Grand Theft Auto at its best, and I highly recommend that you try them all.
You got what you were after, so pay up.
You're crying in the rain, Pally.
Guess who's waking up over here?
Time to cash out.
Will you get it over with?
Maybe cons kill people without looking them in the face. But I ain't a fink. Dig? You've made your last delivery, kid. Sorry you got twisted up in this scene. From where you're kneeling must seem like an 18-carat run of bad luck. Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
In 5th place we have Fallout New Vegas, which I consider to be the best RPG of all time, and the last true Fallout game. The game has an excellent setting, set in and around a post-apocalyptic Las Vegas. The setting is comprised of a bizarre mix of 50s Americana, Old West and steampunk futurism, as well as its fair share of nuclear wasteland stuff. It's a mix that shouldn't work, but it does, and it does so well, which is very impressive. The characters are also fantastic, each fleshed out into a real person, rather than just a caricature or a stereotype. At the risk of sounding like some sort of Bethesda marketing drivel, the wasteland really is yours to shape as you crusade through Vegas and the surrounding wastes, negotiating hostage situations, destroying bunkers, firing rockets into orbit, and most importantly, finding an imaginative way to dispose of Oliver Swanwick's body. With the use of perks, which provide inventive bonuses and not just generic stat boosts, traits which offer an advantage in exchange for a disadvantage, and skills which gradually increase your competence with different items and techniques, as well as the base special stats, no two characters or playthroughs are ever the same. The game may not be perfect, it's still punishing for new players, incredibly buggy, and the gunplay is woeful, but it still has a large active community on all platforms, and that really says a lot, considering this game's age and dodgy quality. And as any New Vegas player will know, nothing can beat the absolute fear of hearing the patter of distant gunshots and then seeing the notice that Boone is unconscious, knowing full well that the legionary assassins are here to kill you. In 4th place we have Mass Effect 2, and I know what you must be thinking. Why? My favourite YouTuber, who has an excellent Discord server, just said that his favourite RPG is New Vegas, yet Mass Effect 2, BioWare's famous RPG, is in front of it in this list. And yes, random YouTube subscriber and Discord member, you'd be right. Fallout New Vegas is, in my opinion, better at the role-playing stuff than Mass Effect 2 is. I love Mass Effect 2 for its mesmerising story, brilliant yet believable universe, and Commander Shepard, who is one of the very best video game protagonists out there. There is simply no way to describe how immersive Mass Effect 2 is. The dialogue and multiple choices are amazing, and every choice you make really will have an impact on the final mission. Additionally, the combat is very engaging, which is surprising, as I usually can't stand first-person cover shooters like this, but in Mass Effect 2, I love it. All the planets you can explore are really cool, the universe is insanely deep, the hacking is one of the few times in video games where a hacking minigame has been fun, which is just as well as you do have to do quite a lot of it. Additionally, sitting in the galaxy map, soaking in the amazing music and launching probes at random planets is just so relaxing, and a good way to get away from the gratuitous sex and violence that the rest of the game is filled with. In 3rd place we have Sniper Elite 4. I know I'd said that I'd only be putting one game per series in this video to stop it turning into a list of all the Halo games, but I felt we needed Sniper Elite 2 and 4 in here. After the somewhat mediocre Sniper Elite 3, Sniper Elite 4 put things right. The non-linear structure really makes you feel like a proper sniper. The enemies are well designed, especially the Radio Man, and I am furious that they didn't include him in Sniper Elite 5. The weapons are all really good and there's a lot of variety, although having them copy-pasted into Strange Brigade and Zombie Army 4 kind of ruined it. And this game is so much fun co-op and really opens a lot of possibilities. But the single best thing about this game, which is something Sniper Elite 5 kind of missed, is the brilliant level design. Throughout the entire game, the level design is sublime, with the perfect mix of being a well-designed level while still looking like a real place. At worst, this level design is Deathstorm 1, which I believe is still better than some of Sniper Elite 5's levels, Atlantic Wall. I do feel that Sniper Elite 4 will be looked at forevermore as the definitive Sniper Elite experience, and I agree with that.
Vanderland! Get out here! Get out here now! Vanderland! You don't know me, but you keep robbing me! My name is Leviticus Cornwall. I am not a man to be messed with by the likes of you! Get out here before I have these men killed!
What do you think?
Get out here,
Well,
you depraved piece of trash!
You start spinning a yarn. When I think the moment's
You
right, I'll
think
make a
I
move.
got where I am by letting
Why
scum
not?
like you rob from me? Vanderland, you're done! Now get out here now! Deal with this nonsense.
Please, gentlemen, this is a terrible mistake. This is a case of mistaken identity. What is worse than admonishing a man for the sins of another who wants to be the Messiah? Not me. Nor do I want to be this Dutch vandal.
In second place we have Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead 2 has, quite simply, the best story of any game, book, film or TV show that I've ever seen. Realistically, a story is propelled by two things: the actual story itself or the characters, and to make an enjoyable story you need to do one of those things well. For instance, Sniper Elite 2 has a great story but awful characters. COD 4 has a weak story but excellent characters. Red Dead 2 has a god-level story and god-level characters. If you haven't played this game, I cannot possibly describe its brilliance, but I will give it a go. Every single character is good. Every development in the story perfectly thought out and executed. Dutch slowly going madder and madder is terrifying. The Van der Linde gang slowly becoming more and more tattered, disbanded and worn is amazing. Micah is the perfect antagonist, a man I hate more than anyone alive because he is quite simply vile. I believe that this game is the pinnacle of Rockstar's storytelling, and it will remain so now that the Hauser brothers have left. The open world is beautiful too. It's so deep and so large it doesn't feel like a barren wasteland either, and there's a lot of detail and things to do no matter where you are. Whilst the game's mechanics have aged poorly even before Rockstar released this game, it doesn't even occur to you that this is basically the same gunplay and horse physics from Red Dead 1, because everything else about the game is so damn perfect. And in first place, we have Goldeneye. And I know what you're thinking. There is no way on this earth that Goldeneye is better than Red Dead 2. And you'd be right. Whilst Goldeneye is legendary, Red Dead 2 is a much better game. But Goldeneye is still my favourite. The story basically follows the plot of the film. If you care about the story, it's best just to watch the film instead. This game, like Halo CE and Modern Warfare, is one of the 4 times that first-person shooters have made a big leap, with the other time being Doom. The level design is brilliant. The majority of GoldenEye's dev team had never made a game before, and that allowed them to really think outside the box. The levels were designed as interesting places before spawns and objectives and guards were put in. The weapons are all incredibly well designed, including the club, which was designed for the sole purpose of being crap, which is something you don't see much anymore. The objectives were varied and could be completed in any order. The music was sensational and I use it all the time in my videos. The enemies are actually really smart, although the same could not be said for the friendlies. Additionally, this game still has a huge speedrunning scene, which remains active today. And the multiplayer, which was coded in a weekend by one dude, was a phenomenon. The lack of voice acting seems bad at first, but if you've heard Perfect Dark's voice acting, you'd see why no voice acting at all is actually very nice. And if you need any more convincing, Goldeneye remains the only movie tie-in game that is actually good. And if that won't convince you, then I don't know what will. Thank you everyone for watching the video. Remember to like, subscribe and comment. It costs you nothing and it's a great way to help out the channel. Stay safe and goodbye.